Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flick Show. My name is Chris Wong. There's been a lot of things happening today, and been a couple of days since we learned that Darkseid has a voice and possibly even his movements, depending on who you talk to, but most likely his voice, and that is Ray Porter. Now, since then, there's been a lot of things happening and a lot of things that have been going on, especially today. And big things always happen when I'm gone, right? I mean, that's just the way it is. But before that, I want to talk a little bit about this. This is from John Aaron Garza from RealAnarchy.com. He posted up a little article here, and it's called Flashback to the Future. Part of Zack Snyder's Justice League ending revealed. I'm going to link the linked article in the description below so you can go ahead and read it yourself. Now, he calls this spoilers, so if you really don't want to know what happened, it's basically the same with what happened in the theatrical. It's a very small thing. You actually probably see it a bit in the trailers. So if you don't want to know about that, you can go ahead and skip on forward to when you see the change in my title down here. But if you're still here and you want to know, it has to do with the Flash during the ending. In the original rewritten ending of Justice League, Superman and Cyborg are attempting to separate the mother boxes, just like in the theatrical version. However, in doing so, they actually get ripped apart during the process. That's right. They get ripped apart during the process while they say so. They pretty much sacrifice themselves to prevent the unity from eventually forming. And so we get the shot in the trailer, and someone had released that little clip where it sounds like he's going Barry as he's trying to rip it apart, pull it apart. And then we got that shot that Zack Snyder revealed to us, where it looks like the Flash is looking at the unity happening. We also have in the trailers, you see what looks like the Flash going into a time warp. He's using the Speed Force, right? He's going really quickly, something we don't see in the movie. That never happened. And then you also see that blast we talked about in the other video, where the mother box, it's seemingly united and everything, and then create this whole Big Bang thing. And so that happened, right? In the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, in the one that hopefully gets released, apparently Barry Allen, as the Flash, shoots through the time warp, or like a time warp effect, uses the Speed Force, and goes and saves Superman's Cyborg from being ripped apart. And so that is something that John Aaron had. He had a source that talked about it. I want to also add that Stephen M. Colbert actually kind of asked that as well on Vero to Zack Snyder, and Zack Snyder just get a smiley emote, and so it seemingly confirmed something like this probably happened, which is kind of cool because you get to see the Flash using that Speed Force, and then you'll get a little glimpse of him doing that before he actually does that in the Flashpoint movie later on. That was going to happen with what we believe was going to happen with Rick Famuyiwa about that. So eventually it'll be kind of cool, but also kind of teasing what his capabilities are as the Flash, and gets him more involved in the final battle instead of just showing up the end and like, what happened? He gets knocked out by Steppenwolf. I mean, so I'm really looking forward to seeing this take place. Looking forward to see what would happen in this ending, and what other multiple versions. Now, Zach has many versions, and he says that Warner Brothers probably has a version, but he has many versions of it, and so it will be interesting to see if it does eventually get released. Which version are we going to see? Which version is the one that is fully, he believes, use the 214 minutes, and how many little different aspects have changed throughout the different versions. So that is interesting, and it's a good thing to have these conversations. I love talking about them. You guys, that's why you're subscribed. But you see all these, what could have been, what could it be, what will we get, and anything gets closer to Snyder Cut, it gets me very excited, especially when you hear all these different things that are coming out of what happened in the Snyder Cut, what possibly happened, what someone have seen, like all those Kevin Smith videos and stuff like that, and all that just drives, I believe, drives more interest towards the Snyder Cut movement, towards the Snyder Cut, to the point, and it's weird, that even Collider Video had released a little clip today of their food podcast where you see John Roca and Mark Riley actually having something positive to say about the Snyder Cut, that they should release it. They should put in a special edition, make some more money on it, and release it. So, and they even talked good things about Batman v Superman, good things about Man of Steel, kind of defended the Batman killing because they said Tim Burton did that and everything, and even Superman having to kill and learning that he's not going to kill later on because of that one moment. So I am quite amazed when I heard that, because I was like, am I somewhere else right now? Did Barry turn back time, or did he do something? Am I in some other world right now? What Earth am I on that Collider has finally kind of put out a more positive video in regards to the Snyder Cut, and it's a far from when Mark Riley and Jeff Schneider had says the Snyder Cut doesn't exist type video, the mythic Snyder Cut or whatever that doesn't exist. Well, now it seems we know it exists, but it's fun to see these other people who are, I guess, outside of our echo chamber, saying that it does exist and they want to see it as well. And I like to say Kevin Smith has been championing it since the beginning, since that video where that one lady was so lucky enough to see the Snyder Cut and saw Darkseid with her own eyes, lucky lady. But it's great to see that Collider do that, and you still see that Schnepp's picture in the background, and he's got to be proud. I would say he's got to be proud that they're turning around on that. He originally didn't care for a BVS, but after watching Ultimate Edition, he loved it. He loves Man of Steel too, so he's a big Snyder supporter. So kind of sad to see him gone, because he was a person of reason on that channel. But I'm glad that John Roca, even though he called Aquaman a mess and stuff like that, but and they still don't care for the Martha, but for the most part they were pretty positive. They acknowledged the Snyder Cut exists. And I wonder, and this is just maybe that tinfoil in the background talking, okay, that are they changing their tune because they are hearing rumblings about Warner Brothers ready to acknowledge it, ready to announce it, ready to say something about it? I don't know. I mean, I'm just being optimistic, if you will. And it all stems from what happened today. I mean, that Collider thing was like, wow, that's a very weird. Am I being punked right now? Is this April Fool's? But then you start to think and you start to wonder, maybe there is some kind of rumblings going on, and there is more of a policy being taken place that's possibly keeping these other bloggers from saying something, right? You notice they're not saying anything. I could be wrong, and tomorrow Umberto Gonzalez says it's deaded again, but so far nothing, right? So far complete silence on all fronts. Even a lot of the blog sites, a lot of things aren't reporting too much on it anymore. Do they know something? What processes are they going through that they cannot talk about? The Snyder cannot even talk about this. Usually when you see something in fact, when the film Exiles had reported the exclusive that Ray Porter's Our Dark Side, only Geek Vibes Nation had pitched in. You don't even see Comic Book Now, Comic Book Resources, and all other sites, Batman News. Our old very own Screen Rant didn't write. Revenge of the Fan podcast didn't write. And they said they're in the process and they're looking into it. They're trying to confirm some things. Unless they know something. I don't know. I'm just tinfoil hat on. Like I said, don't get crazy. But I'm just saying, and it seems more apparent. Maybe there is something that Warner Brothers is saying. There is rumblings. There is complete silence in some matter because there is now a policy in place that they cannot talk about it. There is a policy in place that cannot talk about it. And this, I want to personally thank Bradley T at Detectives 214. He did something that I'm really proud of. He went ahead and just called them himself. He called Warner Brothers himself. He put out that thing with the phone number on it, and encouraged people to just go call them right now. Let's just do a phone campaign. Let's just go ahead and do it. This is what he said. He tweeted this out. I just got off the phone with an operator. I told her to transfer me to Walter Hamada's personal assistant. She said she couldn't, of course, because he's an executive. She asked what it's about. I said the Snyder Cut of JL or Justice League. She said they have a policy matter on that subject and can't speak about it. Now this part's gonna be nuts. She then said, and that it will get released when it's released. Okay, so I'm like, all right. When it will get released when it gets released. That's true. They can't control anything. It'll just get released when it gets released. But now we don't have a recording of this. But I trust his word because I've talked to him a lot. And when he says when it's released, she didn't say it will get released if it's released. She said when it's released. And when maybe we've been looking too far into it, but when someone says when, when we say if and or when, this is just when, not if. And that just makes me like, okay. That's interesting. And also the policy matter is also interesting because I remember a long time ago, before our first large phone campaign that was arranged by Fiona and Dr. Vinaldo, Chris. So before that, I know that there were calls that says there's no such thing and things like that. It's probably deaded and things like that. But times have continually changed, and that huge phone campaign that we had done maybe had made some substantial impression, and we know it did. With all of our Snyder Cut movement, we've made it a pressure, we made an impression. Zack Snyder told me himself in person. He said that, look, you guys had made an impression. You guys just gotta keep up with the pressure, and it's up to them. It's up to Warner Brothers. So that's why we're continuing doing. That's why I'm really fighting it for stronger now. After talking to the man himself, the boss, Zack Snyder, and he's telling me to keep the pressure up. He's telling me to keep on with keep putting an impression on them. That I'm gonna keep doing it because I'm like, he told me that it's working. And when the person who made the Snyder Cut Justice League, who wants to have us keep fighting, he's not telling us to give up at all. Even Clay Enos had says, keep the pressure. We got to keep fighting. I'm gonna keep fighting, man. I don't care what you say. I'm gonna keep fighting. I don't care. Any troll can come after me. I'm gonna keep fighting. And I hope you guys are too with me in the long run. But today's activities really drove home possibility that it's really getting to the end game here. We're in the end game now, guys. So in this thread, Zod Writer, who I've talked to a lot, I've been on his podcast. I trust his word. He has a lot of podcasts with different celebrities as well. He said this: I can confirm this to be the current sentiment, as I too have had similar conversations with Walter Hamada's office. The Snyder Cut is not being denied by Warner Brothers anymore. It's being prepped for eventual release. Did he just say being prepped for eventual release? Now, he says he has called them many times, and maybe he really buttered her up or something. Who knows, right? So it's possible that she did say that. It's possible. I don't know. And now she's just an assistant and things like that. And the person, the lady, is just an operator. But it's interesting when you get that call, right? When you call in and they're really nice, and then they kind of change their tune when you mention the Snyder Cut. There's 2 video clips going around that kind of prove this. One is from Will Rollins, and his one is pretty funny because he's just a pleasant guy. He's got that British accent, and so when he calls in, they're kind of he almost got called into the Walter Hamada. He almost got pulled in and able to talk to Walter Hamada. It was right there. Like until she caught herself and says, "Wait, well, who are you? Like, what is this about?" And then but he mentioned Justice League, and you hear a little bit of silence, and she's like, "Oh, it's like, oh, one of you guys, So, that shows that there is something in place, and she can't talk about it. She cannot say anything about it, so there is like a certain script that they have to put up. They have to read in a way, not read, but memorizing by saying. So when people call in, and the operator probably gets it right now. She gets it the most when they're talking about the Snyder Cut. I think even Lois Centeno said, "Oh my God, I called Warner Brothers and asked for Walter Hamada. She asked what's the call was regarding. I said it's regarding the Snyder Cut. Was told by the rep they were no longer taking calls regarding Snyder Cut. Asked why. She told me she can't say. She can say Warner Brothers has heard us and will get answers soon. I asked, will I be happy? And she said yes. So hopefully that means yes as in like a good answer, or just yes that we finally get an answer, right? Happy Cavill Mini Fig at Deacon Alien Toy. I think he's the one that actually makes some Lego stuff, so I'm gonna check him out. Okay, I called. The lady that answered was really sweet. She said there has been a lot of activity regarding the Snyder Cut right now. Before I say anything, if you call, please be professional. It sounds favorable. She couldn't say anything, but said it will be announced when Warner Brothers is ready. So again, it says will be announced when Warner Brothers is ready. Does that mean announce the cut or announce to talk about the acknowledgement, or even talk about the existence of the cut when Warner Brothers is ready? So just being devil's advocate at the same time. Leonidas, Science 2323. I just called myself. The operator was very nice. I basically said I'm calling on the behalf of millions of consumers and would like to speak with Walter Hamada. She said they're in meetings all day. We can't patch you through. I said, okay, fine. This is in regards to the now officially confirmed 214 minutes Zack Snyder Cut of Justice League. She started laughing because she's obviously heard all about this. I said, we've been asking for 2 years. When are we going to hear something? She said, unfortunately, she can't tell me anything like that until they release that info to the trades. She's sorry. I said, no problem. I tried with a little banter. Maybe you could give a little hint. She said, no, she's sorry. But I can definitely tell she knows what's up. So, yeah. Dingus Bringus called in as well. She said, oh my God, I just called Warner Brothers and asked them if I can talk to someone about getting the Snyder Cut released, and they said they can't comment until they announce it publicly in the trade. So He's got a video on that, by the way, so go ahead and check him out. Dingus Bringus. I'll link his video in my description below. Subscribe to his channel, by the way. He has some good stuff. Probably talks better than I do. And finally, the video that really says it all is from Cowboy Dan at B.V. Actually calling, you can hear him calling, and I'm not going to post a video because I'm not sure if we are supposed to have that recorded or not. But anyway, I will link that video, Twitter video, to in my description, so you go ahead and check it out and listen for yourself. She does in fact say, the operator does in fact say, like a script, that they will publicly announce it in the trades, public and then trades. Now, for me, it's still unclear whether she means announce the release or just announce as in news, as in they can comment on the Snyder Cut, and that comment will be publicly in the trades. Now, when in the trades, you're like, what's the trades? Well, I would expect it to be the Hollywood Reporter, Variety, or Deadline. Right now, it looks like the Hollywood Reporter and Variety are the top two choices that Warner Brothers has been using so far. Not the Wall Street Journal, but that was kind of like a hit piece anyway. But they didn't bring us down. They're going to have to write something else. But the case I want to bring here is, this is exciting, okay? And why is it exciting? You're thinking it's an operator. It's a personal assistant. They could have clearly said nothing is happening. We haven't heard anything about a Snyder Cut. I'm sorry. They could have told the operator, say something to the lines like that. Something to the lines like, I appreciate your concern or your questions, but there is nothing like that happening at Warner Brothers. I'm sorry. Or we don't know of anything like that of any kind. For them to say that it will have to be released publicly in the trades before they can comment on it, it tells you something a little bit more than just shutting you down. They didn't have to mention that at all if they were just trying to say nothing's happening. But it feels like, and it seems, and as you hear it, it feels apparent that something may be brewing once again. And we already know. Judging from that gentleman who went to the DC panel at WonderCon, I think, and tried to talk to them about the Snyder Cut, and they said all of them know, they're all aware about it. They can't talk about it right now, and they could be on that same policy right now. No one can talk. Please don't talk about it. We are not allowed to talk about it. We're not allowed to leak any of this to bloggers, to the sources that these bloggers get it from. That way they cannot go through the process to confirm anything, right? Because these bloggers, they get all the news. And it's possible, the media sites as well, it's possible they're not talking about it in terms of dark side and all this stuff, because when they reach out to their sources are now silent. They're not saying anything. They're not acknowledging. They're probably maybe part of that policy of there's going to be something coming out in the trades selected by Warner Brothers, and we cannot comment on anything right now because the trades, the Warner Brothers, have chosen the trades that they want to reveal these stories. Have chosen the trades that they want to announce something of their a statement about the Snyder Cut. And this could be it. So again, we're in the end game now. Hopefully it's good news. Feeling optimistic that we're continuing to put pressure on Warner Brothers. We're continuing to leave an impression on Warner Brothers, and it looks like it's very much well working. We know it's working, but it's getting to the point that they cannot just ignore. It's getting to the point they're probably pretty tired of our hashtags right now. They're probably pretty tired of us calling out for a Snyder Cut after every single Warner Brothers tweet. They're finally, and it's a good thing. They're trying to ignore us, and they can't. They can't. We're calling the offices. You know, you brave souls who are calling. I was going to try to call it tomorrow, um, just to see if anything has changed. But you know, I probably will get the same scripted treatment as each and every one of you. I hope to get her in the morning so she's less irritated, but I'll probably ruin her day. No, I'm just kidding. But no, of course, I'm always nice. But it's okay to call, and that's why even knowing the number to call is okay. This is just like back then, where we had consumer complaints. We had flyers go back out. These were like 20 years ago or something like that. More than 20 years ago. We've had flyers, things in the newspapers, what we call actual paper, with phone numbers. And even on trucks, you have a consumer complaint, please call. It's okay to be a consumer and wanting to ask for something. You are a consumer. We are consumers. We're customers. It's okay for customers to complain. That's what we have to do in order to get better service, in order to get better products. Heck, they listen to the bloggers and butchered Justice League because of BVS. This is the time we fight back. And fight back we will, when fight back we are. And we have to keep fighting back until they say something, until they announce it, until they make a statement about it, and to show that we're not going to be ignored from here on out. But most importantly, to show that young creators can come into this business and get their artistic vision shown, especially ones that have been approved and worked on for many years, you know, and not just change it all, you know, halfway into the project or like almost 90% finished and it's just like, well, we don't want that vision anymore. You know, this has to change. This is for the good of Hollywood. This is for the good of artistic, creative integrity. And we have to keep fighting for this. No, we're not going to forget. We're not going to let up. We know, we feel we're in the end game now. It's only a matter of time. Warner Brothers, please release the Snyder Cut. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.